All right, Yogi. So today I just want to start with some fundamentals. It's always a good idea to have a nice warm up, kind of wake up the body, get the blood flowing, the heat building, the heart rate increasing, breath rate increasing. All right. So let's start standing today. All right, Yogi. So just take a moment to stand up tall. Take a couple deep breaths. As the yogis say, it's kind of like a initial shift of your awareness from external stimulus to internal stimulus, like feeling the body, feeling the breath. You have to take a moment to kind of get out of your normal mind state into your kind of self-study mind state. Take a couple deep breaths in and out the nose. All right, so I'm just going to go through a few standing warm-ups, and then we're going to hit the ground right away for some core isolated stuff. All right, so first exercise today is the squatting. There's a lot of different ways to do this. Whatever way feels best for you this morning. Some mornings I would just have to take it easy and kind of go here, okay? And then exhale up, kind of squeeze the butt, even pull the arms back. If I'm feeling good, I might do faster and circular arms. But I want you to kind of squat. Basically, squatting represents you're bending your knees, straightening your knees, flexing your hips, extending your hips. And then you're either moving your arms forward and back or circular. So I want you to get into your squatting today. Some days it's really slow. Depending on how you're feeling, if you're like sore, feeling kind of tight today, tired, maybe slower, maybe even like holding chair. Chair is a squat, right? What are you feeling like to do your type of squatting today? Because when I'm doing this daily, usually, it's always looking very different. I might step my feet a little closer together at this point or wider to change up how it's affecting my legs. I might even switch my arms a little bit. I might go a little faster as I get warmed up. How can you make this, good for your body this morning? Nice. I like that one, reaching up and down a little bit. But you're thinking movement, right? Get blood flow going. That's the best way we increase blood flow, body temperature. Last few. The next little exercise we'll go right into is the hinge. So it's straight leg. You inhale, lift your heart. Next time, you can start with your hands on your hips and you just hinge. You're really turning on the hamstrings now, the back of the legs. Exhale, back up. So it's super core, right? It's all through here. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. A lot of times, people will do squat and they have trouble activating their back body. So that's why it's nice. It can be, if you don't bend the knees deep in squatting, it's very quad. Well, so it's front body dominant, especially if you never squeeze your butt at the top. So this is not going to allow you to really engage your quads that much. So it's really a lot of back body. You'll feel it a lot. Hamstrings, I mentioned. So now we're just going kind of front body, back body. It's kind of like plank to cobra. Same principle, right? Warm up the front and back body quick. Now this next exercise is the first pivot, the first twist, the first lunge. I could get more basic, but I'm just gonna keep going here, yogis. Widen your feet here, please. Bend the knees and then pivot. Look how the right hip turns in. That's on purpose because we're gonna do hip rotations today. Push with right arm, pull with left arm. It's not supposed to be super difficult. Think more just kind of nice full body movements. Inhale, exhale. I'm turning my chest over to the right, okay? Across the right leg. I could even inhale my arms up if I prefer. All right, so you're kind of turning side to side. Now, I went pretty slow, right? There are some days where you can kind of do this a lot faster. There's many different ways to do this. Sometimes I kind of have you do it like this. You're still doing a lunge and a twist. There's less pivoting in the hips in that one. Sometimes I have you do it like this. right? Some days I have you do it like this. It's just filling the role of that big first twist, the first asymmetrical arms, the push, the pull, and I'm trying to get you to do the pivoting just so we can cover a little bit more ground here, okay? Last few. The goal is to twist your core, lunge your legs, and kind of push and pull the arms. It's kind of like running, right? You do this, one's a pull, one's a push. All right, guys, first side body exercise. I'm gonna keep you a little bit more flexy today. Right foot across, right arm up. Right arm down, right foot neutral. Don't overforce this one. It's like warm-up stretch. It's a warm-up lengthener for the side body. Easier is just feet, hips width distance. You don't move the feet. It would be a lot less actually, right? So if you have back pain, you might just keep both feet on the floor parallel, hips width distance. You wouldn't really adduct the legs because then you're gonna get the double pull and you'll feel that a lot more probably, all right? And this next one is like the big core challenger, yogis. It just kind of starts like this, where you're just circling your hips. Really what that is, guys, is a hip circle. Your hip is going like this. It doesn't seem like that, but that's what's happening in the joints. It's a good idea to bend the knees. The spine is also doing its most complex action called circumduction. If you're up for it, you start to go like this, where the head is kind of moving away from the hips. This is a big one though. It seems simple, guys, but as you get more warmed up, you might go further in the range. You know how we do this one where you reach for your toes, you kind of doing that. It's a lot of the movements we do, but kind of put together. You're kind of just circling that core. Opposite direction when you're ready. Let's not do it too long. I want to get down to the ground here. About a 10-minute standing warm-up, okay? Yeah, nice. Some of you are adding your own movements. I like to see that. Listen to your body, please, okay? I want to do a couple just like chaturangas and or cat-cows also to get the upper body going more, okay? Let's step to the front of our mat. Let's sun salutation our way down. No rush. On your inhale, you take your little standing back bend or front body tension. Exhale, you forward bend. If you need to pause here now. Inhale, you half lift. You can step back to your down dog. Maybe pedal your feet out a little bit, waking up those feet, toes. I'd like to get a few chaturangas going now, yogis. On your inhale, a plank. Extra push-ups are always good if you're feeling up to it. Maybe a gentle cobra. Everyone's a regular today, so I'm just kind of moving through it, yogis. I don't want to kind of keep repeating the same old subtle cues, okay? Down dog. Take a few more here. We're not going to do a ton of these today, so you get them in now. Get the body heat building more. Cat-cow is a similar type movement, right? If you need that. especially if you tend to keep your spine very neutral in plank. I tend to articulate the spine pretty well. So when I'm in plank, it's almost like I'm in cat spine. And then when I'm in down dog, cobra, I'm more like the cow spine, so back bend and the forward bend. But if you're kind of stiff through all those poses, it might be good to drop to your knees and really give a good cat cow. I also like to try cat cow in down dog. It's a nice place to do it. You might bend your knees a little bit. All right, guys. So we did some twisting. We did some big circumductions. We did the side bends, the lunges, the squats, the hinges. So we did all of our fundamentals pretty much. Okay, there's a few we're missing, but can't do everything. We're going to drop to the butt. We're going to get right to some core work today. We're going to work it strong, right? Hips, abs, but then we're going to do some subtle things. So you work really hard. It's not going to be really hard all the way through. Okay. Let's sit on our butt. I want to do it's called the hyper range abdominal flexion. It's the same thing. We kind of start linear, symmetrical, right? So if you joined a little late, I asked if you had a little bolster or pillow, okay? Now, the reason we do it like this is because the spine goes into a back bend. This is like cat-cow. So you're getting your crunch from a longer line. You're also getting a longer abdominal tension. It's a crunch, but it's better, okay? My feet, hips stay down. If you want a little extra, you either throw a band around your thighs or a block between your thighs. And then I'm gonna go here, crunch. Inhale, I slowly lower down. Exhale. What's nice is like each time you go down, it's almost like you're stretching your body too, right? Exhale. So again, I'm using the bolster to create more bend. Now, my hips do stay on the floor. Sometimes I like to do it like this, where I go all the, 3/4 back. I crunch completely. I do one little pulse or two, and then I go back to the full. Now, what I'm doing, if you can see, I had my hands on my abs because I'm trying to feel the muscles I'm targeting better. Yogis, I've said this countless times. It's been shown in exercise science when a coach, a trainer, a teacher gives you the cue to feel your muscles better, you get more electrical activity in the muscle, which means it's firing better, which means you're going to get stronger faster. More neuromuscular development. Your nerve cells are expanding within the musculature. They'll fire better. All right, last few. If you want to go a little extra here, you can kind of take your hands on your ears, and as you go down, exhale, right knee, right elbow, left knee. You tap your big toe. Again, you're not lowering all the way down. You see that? Exhale, elbow, knee. So now we're adding a small twist. And again, depending on your like spinal anatomy, like say you have a really short spine, you need like a very small pillow, because if the pillow is too big, you're not going to be able to move clearly over the pillow, the bolster. If your spine's longer or you're really bendy, let's say, like flexible, you could use a bigger bolster and you'll get different longer tension. So it's always good to like switch up the pillows you're using too. Do your second side if you're doing the twist, okay? I'm trying to just give you a lot of time here to work your abs. What you do is you take a rest when you're tired and then you try again. All right. It's kind of like I mentioned this, like with you with a trainer, you do multiple sets. You take a little break in between. All right. So I want a really good couple burnouts, let's call them, of the abs, where you're fatiguing, resting, then coming back in. Remember, now it's like left elbow, right knee if you're doing a little twist. Last few here, yogis. Last good 30, 40 seconds. You just got to slow down and really try to feel your abs contracting and really step into the moment and make it more quality, right? Especially like on the lowering down and then in the end kind of contracting and then slowing down on the release. It's a practice, yogis, getting better at contracting your muscles. It takes a lot of resilience, and
You know, I do push-ups most days, but then there's days like I'll skip like for like a few days. And even that, it's like I get back that after 3 days off and the push-up doesn't activate as well. Like my chest won't, and it's all like shoulder. It's amazing how fast. What's that old saying? So much work to gain it, but so easy to lose it. All right. So that neuromuscular awareness, easy to lose. Okay. All right, guys, listen, we're going to remove the bolster. I want to do simple, the bridges. So it's really butt work, hips. Now, if you're feeling good, you do one-legged. We already did warm up of standing. Okay. So you're ready for one-legged. If you got it, I want to do dynamic, which means moving, let's say. So it's up and down with your bridges. Same thing. You could go all the way up, give it a little like pulse or three, and then like 3/4 of the way down. So you don't go all the way down. If your objective is strength, we're really not doing full range. Watch bodybuilders. They don't go full range. All right, because they're trying to really make their muscle work as much as possible. Now, I do train you a lot of full range, but our objective is strength right now. All right. So you're going up and down with your bridges. Nice. Some of you are doing your single leg. If you're doing your single leg, you got to be even more resilient, keeping the knee over the heel. Okay. Not letting your back arch. So posterior tilt's more difficult. Don't forget, as you lift your bridge, it's not just lifting your hips by pressing through your feet. It's the cat cow. It's the cat part where the tailbone goes between the legs. So your pubic bone is trying to go higher, where your navel's kind of pulling in more at the top. So we're going up and down with our bridges. Straight front body, straight back body here. I mean, if you were feeling excellent, you could just go right up to up table or one-legged hip thrust. We do that a lot in the end, where you're in a tabletop, but on the upward facing table, and then you do the same thing. You kind of tap your butt, and then you go up with the hips. Last few here. I'm going to give you another 30, 40 seconds. Make sure you do both legs if you're doing. We were going to do another round or two of this also, but I'm going to mix something in. If you feel it too much in your lower back, that's kind of normal initially and at certain times. If certain soreness patterns or postural patterns, make sure you're pulling your belly in a lot and lengthening the core, let's say. And also, again, the posterior tilt will bring the contraction to your lower butt as opposed to being up at the edges of your upper butt and your lower back. You see people in the gym, they walk around doing hip thrusts and bridges and they're all in anterior tilt, and they're just creating a super pattern in their body. They're getting like a third of the total benefit because I know they're using it for their back body, right? But if you're an anterior tilt, you so has stuck short, and it's all front body tightness. Strong muscles are tight, so you just got to be aware it's posterior tilt. That's like everything here. All right, guys. Let's switch gears here. It's the same thing. We did squats and hinges, front and back body. Now, I want to go lateral body. So I'm not going to do twist yet because some of you did that earlier. This is isolated, right? So which means is like it's a small part of your body now. It's the outer hip. You did glute max just now. I want to bring it right around to the other glute, okay? So these two are working together. I don't want to see this, guys. I do not want to see your knees in front of you like this. Pretend like you're standing and your legs are straight down your mat. Just bend your bottom knee. This is the exercise. Right now, though, yogis, you can see my belly's pulled in, and I can almost slide my hand underneath my abdomen here. Look, guys. My leg is not coming forward like this at all. It's literally going out to the side. Same idea. You can go up, pulse, and then down about 3/4. Now, I have shown the lateral flexion. If you want to go big, you can add the core with it where you're here. But this is known for making people pretty sore, okay? Some people do it like this. The main goal is the hip, though, okay? The outer butt. When you're having a healthy buttocks, right? Obviously, the butt cheek is the main one you see people have strong glutes, but then you have that muscle in the outer hip. It's right there, and it's really important because they often call that the main hip stabilizing muscle. Okay, so let's just do one round for now because we're going to do a weight bearing round next. So this is the dynamic mobilizer one where you're pushing the body through range. The next one will be the anti, okay? Anti, same range. So second side, please. Go ahead. Come on now. Get into it. And I want you to try to notice which leg can you not lift well. Try to spend a little extra time there. You know, there's like mobility drills here. There's dynamic stretching here. Like sometimes you see certain styles of exercise, they'll do the leg really fast here. Uh, I'm not really using it for that because we did that. We did the stretches earlier, the lateral stretches. It just depends on your goal. You know, it's really just not a good idea to stretch weak muscles more and more and more. You know, you tend to find that in yoga. You walk in a yoga room. I'm not saying this to be like mean, but everyone's pretty weak, and then they all they want to do is stretch. That's not a coincidence because that's, you know, we stretching makes muscles weak, and when you're not that strong, strengthening is really not easy. Someone who lifts weights for years and years and years, it's so easy for them to go to the gym and just lift weights the whole time because their body's adapted to it. Someone who's weak, their body's not adapted to strength. So you got to notice that about yourself. If you tend to want to stretch, you got to try to strengthen. Okay. So now, guys, I want to bring you back to listen, we did lateral side body. Now I want to go like lateral waist. So it is going to be two things here, and then it's back to symmetry. So you guys know this one. I do it all the time with you guys. It's the lateral resisted twist, and you got to really slow this one down. It's subtle. If it's, you know, if you're new to it, you go here. If you're really good at it, you go here, but this is going to be a lot more challenging. So either block between the knees or the feet. You're going to inhale, your feet go over to the side, and you got to roll your right ribs down, pull your belly in, hold, and then slowly come back to center. Remember, less range is safer, okay? So I'm bringing my legs over to the second side, I'm holding, turning my left ribs down, pulling my belly in, and you just keep the contraction. You know how we hold a plank with weight, there's weight on our body. You hold the plank to keep the muscles stimulating. Think of it like a plank. You're just trying to hold as long as you can in the tension, because the tension means the muscles lengthening, the weight of the legs trying to pull the muscles longer. It's anti-rotation, okay? And then you do it again, and then you have a good go for another minute, minute and a half. It's like I'm your trainer and I'm giving you an exercise. I'm giving you some focus in between, and you really got to push yourself now. No one can make you do it. What's the old saying? You can lead a horse to water, but they got to drink it, right? Is that a saying? It's something like that, right? I know it's you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink it or something like that. This is the obliques, right? So you should really feel it pulling through the sides of your abdomen, like up by the ribs and even by the lower back. A lot of times when we do a lot of like twisting and the crunches, it's not really that big of a twist. It's not training your obliques well. It's like the inner edge of your obliques on the edge of your rectus abdominis. It's more like that type of twists are, you know, aesthetic, which means it'll make your abs look fit. But this is like functional, really rotating a lot and putting that tension as the muscle lengthens. You see that in like the elite athletes, they're always training tension now, because if you're not good at tension, when the muscle lengthens and has to then contract, that's how you tear the muscle. That's how they get injured, because the tension ability is not developed. It's not compression. They're all experts at compression, right? They're all like ripped and like big muscles, but the tension is where we lack. If there's weight on a muscle as it's lengthening, is that rope going to snap, or can the rope stay strong? Okay. All right, so it looks like some of yous look pretty good there. I want to do, what's going to happen is 2 more really strong core things, okay? And then a few easy, a few very subtle. All right, so take your time here. Now, remember we did our side body, the lateral leg lifts. This is our second go here. It's now connecting your waist to your outer hip, and we put weight on it. So you're not going to get much movement. It's called forearm side plank, but I'm going to do it on the thigh so we get longer hold. Now, again, I do this also. I can do side plank easy, pretty easy, but I do this some days anyway because it's different. Look at this. I don't want to see this, guys. I taught this yesterday and people were trying to do this. That's not it. The knee, it's like your legs are long, but then you bend the knees kind of behind you. So your knees are through your hips to your shoulders, and then you go here. Okay? Now, a couple of exercises you could do is drop your hips and lift. That's really good lower back training, by the way. It's not easy to train your lower back, and this is a fantastic way to do it. If you want to go big, you lift the right thigh. There's the double abduction I was mentioning. And you could even do like this. But is it a big movement? No, it's very small. Don't let your butt stick behind you. Hips forward, guys. Belly in. Last few. I also tend to leave out a lot of arm training in this class. So you did some push-ups. Now you're here. So, you got to work those arms and when you get the opportunities in this class. I'll basically do a lot of arms if I'm feeling lazy. I'll go to like the Bay Club or Equinox and I'm like, okay, I feel a little tired. And I'll just do like some like bands, arms, and some light dumbbells. I try to always be resilient now and always doing legs and core more. Okay. I do some arms, but it's kind of last. All right. Let's do our second side. It looks like some of you already went there. That's good. We're all at our own pace and we're all feeling different each day. Okay. Don't let that butt stick out and try to notice the shoulder too. If this is kind of happening, guys, see how the shoulder can pinch near the ear? That's not good. Try to keep it like here. Remember to practice the body forms that you desire. So you don't want to like create patterns unconsciously and exercise to create patterns you don't want when you're just walking around. You got to get really fierce here with the back body because what happens now, we're going to go strong front body symmetry, okay? So I mentioned too strong, and then we got to do our hip rotations today because really, and that's another exercise I do a lot of, but we'll get to that in a moment. Now, the next thing is the leg swing. So you've done your crunches earlier, right? And you did the big rotations in the core. You did the big laterals. Now, can you do the front? So you lay on your back, your legs start up to the sky. Easier, head, arms, shoulders on the floor. Lower back has to stay down, knees bent, legs go forward, tension. Keep your lower back down, keep your lower back down, pull your knees in. Stronger is legs up. More strong, lift your head. More strong, lift your arms and your shoulders also. So curl the upper body, hold a crunch. Legs go forward, legs come up. If you're feeling really good, it's called reverse crunch. You lift your pelvis up when the legs come up. If you're feeling really good, you can move your arms forward as your legs comes toward your chest. So I demonstrate this stuff all the time. This is the basics. So easiest is here, here. These are all progressions. Here. And again, I'd like you to try to do like, let's say 2 rounds. You do one to failure. Oh, easier, guys. Middle ground is just something like this. Head lifts, look. Heels tap, but my lower back stays down. Watch, little pelvic lift. Is it a big movement in the hips? No. It's a small little pelvic lift.
It's called the reverse crunch, guys. We know double hollow bodies, number one EMG chart, rectus abdominis. So get into it. Come on now, push yourself.
When you're if you're training somebody and they say, what's your goal? They say, I want a six pack. There's multiple styles of leg swings in the exercise. We would do this for like a half an hour and we would do like 10 different variations. Now there would be overhead, there'd be bent knee, there'd be straight leg holds, there'd be, I'd probably have them do it on the back too. It depends on how strong they are. But this is how we have to do leg swings. There'd be dips, right? So there'd be the dip leg swing, and then there'd be the corkscrew. So you do the leg swing with the twist too. Maybe we'll get time for that. So that's, looks like a couple of these are done. I want to keep moving forward. Now you get the simple. We go to the small muscles. Granted, there is the big muscles too, but we're trying to target small muscles because they don't fire in the phasic. Okay. So listen, this is very subtle, guys. Roll onto your left side. Now it's the bottom leg that goes in front of you. The top leg is straight down. You might want to pad your head. It's very subtle. Your knee is not going like this. Your knee is not lifting like this. The knee is hovering like an inch, but you go like this. It's very subtle. You got to get into this, guys. Don't let your butt stick behind you and your chest open to the sky. You're on your side body, and your inhale, lifting the inner edge of your left foot up and then kind of toward your face, let's say. And again, it's that same idea. Any exercise you can do this. You contract 100%, pulse a few, and then go down about 90%. Go up 100% contraction, pulse. You got to slow down though, yogis. We're doing this on your back, on your side, excuse me. I've been to multiple core classes over the years, and it's all phasic. We have to do what we call like tonic exercise. Balance is one of them, but it's the stabilizer strengtheners. We know, yogis, if you're not familiar with phasic muscle or tonic, these terms, phasic is like your really big muscles, let's say, in their force power form. All muscles do have tonic fibers, like stabilizer like types of contractions, which is very different than a phasic. Your glute will work very different in balance than it would in a squat. So your rotators are considered some of your main tonic muscles, or postural. There's little muscles that run up your spine, really tiny. They connect the processes to each other. Let's do our second side. So it's not the top leg, it's the bottom leg, okay? It might feel a little achy too. This is really good for piriformis syndrome or sciatica symptoms, all right? Again, I'm trying to give you a little extra time today. We got a small group of regulars to get into this. It's kind of like 2 sets of everything as opposed to just one. I mean, yeah, that's really good, Brian. He's the only person I can see, so we're a little halfway over class too, so let's keep this going. What's going to happen is we're doing this, we're going to do the medial rotation, then we're going to do the lower back. Now we're going to do the butt again, then you're going to do bridge again. And then we're going to come up and do our dynamic balance, okay? Well, yogis, when I do this, actually, I tend to do it in a different way, actually. Uh, when I work out at the Bay Club or Equinox, I mentioned, they have these like tables where the trainers stretch people out on. It's like a massage table, right? And I actually, what I'll do is I'll lay on the side of the table with this leg, the bottom leg here, hanging off. So my leg will actually go down lower. So if you're doing this right now, neutral to lift, neutral to lift, when I'm on the table, my leg will hang down way lower. So my foot will fall below the tabletop and then I go up like that. It's just the same thing of like using the bolster to get a fuller range crunch. I'll lay on the side of the table. My bottom leg will go down and then up. You get like way better. If that makes sense, right? You can do it on the side of your bed. It's really, it's better. All right. You get more range, you get more contraction. All right. Listen, guys, I see it looks like most of you are done, right? Because I don't want you to go crazy there. You're going to lay on your chest. You roll right over, guys. Now, this is the opposite exercise. Okay, it's both rotators. Let's just get them done because we haven't done them in a few weeks. Now, first leg, whatever it was, goes off to the side like this. So now the outer edge of the foot lifts up. Look what I did though. I lengthened my core. If you're going to pulse in this one, you got to be extra slow. You don't want to jerk the body like this in this one. It can cause like lower back kind of compression, okay? Because we're in horizontal abduction. So it looks like that. Look at guys, the knee is not back here. Look, it's not here. Watch the knee. It's out to the side of the hip. It's really the same height as my hip. It's not down here. It's not this. It's here. Remember, path of least resistance in the rotation. So that was a little too high. There we go. Get into that, yogis. What's really fun is when you do this with a weight now on your ankle. You guys, I have like 3-4 sets of ankle weights over the years, right? So when I like work with people privately and we do stuff like this because their core is, it's incredible how weak some people's core is, and then they're like, well, how often should I exercise? Well, it depends on how fast you want to fix all your issues. You can do body maintenance every day. You just have to be more resilient with sleep and things like hydration and stress levels, right? So I try to sleep, minimum 7 hours. I try to get 8 or even 9, like a couple days a week. I slept in this morning. I slept till like 8:20 this morning. And then of course my little pup had an accident on the floor. I had to clean that up. So I was kind of getting going slow this morning. So hopefully you're feeling that. That's the opposite. It's called lateral rotation, external rotation, medial rotation, external rotation, internal rotation, medial, internal. That's it. Yeah. So it's your outer hip more. Okay, let's do our second side, guys. Now, just to be clear, we're doing a ton of stuff on the lower back. I'm going to give you symmetry here in a moment for the lower back. So you're going to hopefully just neutralize all this. A little cramp there. Doing like new exercises too, it's normal for you to have your body act funny. We don't like get this pure type of weight resisted rotation often. We do all this yoga stuff and this is like really lacking a dynamic resisted rotational quality of your hips. Yoga is a great practice, but it does have a lot of holes. It's by no means perfect. I'll also like work with people privately and they're like, let's do yoga practice. And I'm like, well, you should probably just pick up heavy weights and walk around with them for as long as you can instead of doing the stretches and walking and non-weight bearing movements. I'm just going to give you a last 34 seconds. I can't really see anyone, so I'm not sure what you guys, hopefully maybe you're all just meditating, doing Shavasana. So, no, Brian, you want to lay all the way in your chest now. All the way on your chest, right? No. Yeah, all the way. Yeah. And the leg, you might have to go off your mat or turn around because the knee has to go off to the side. It's like half frog posture. That's better. But yeah, no, you don't lift the knee, keep the knee down. Lay more on your chest. More on your chest. There you go. And then just lift the outer edge of that foot. Don't lift the knee. That's the abduction. We're trying to isolate rotation. It's a tricky one, right? So let me give you another demo, just in case anyone else is a little bit, it's easy to get kind of like confused. So from this angle, guys, I'm all the way on my chest. See this? I'm not like open like this. Here, all the way. Thanks to my abdomen. Look. Remember, the more range you're doing there, it's kind of like you guys have done things like Pilates, right? They have you like pulse all the time because you're going to get better muscle contractions. It's called ballistic muscle contractions. They do it in stretching too for gymnastics. Pulsing on the end range, it's going to be better for firing a muscle than a full range, unless you're good at really going slow. So you saw me doing it there. I just pulsed. I didn't even go like full range, really. All right, guys. So I want to keep going here. Now, what we're going to do is called active cobras. I want you to think laying on your chest. If you need a quick child pose or something, I totally get it, because what we just did was all back body. So I want to do our lower back. So a quick child pose might do you good, just kind of like stretching out your lower back and hips after that, achy type exercise. But we got to keep going here, guys. So let's lay down on the chest. I want you to think lower back isolation. This is all core, man. We're going big. So you're going to lay on your chest. And then you're going to press your feet down, big toe particularly. Engage your thighs. So feet press down, thighs engage. See if you engage your thighs so much your knees hover like 1/4 inch, but the feet are down, right? Then you press your pubic bone down. And then with the strength of your back, you lift your heart, your chest, your shoulders. And you pull your belly in, you feel your back and tense up, and then you exhale, you lower down. And it's the same idea. Some days you hold up there. Some days you could, go up and down. But some days you do like a little half range. You're up and then you go halfway down. You go up and you go halfway down. We're trying to contract your lower/middle back while your legs are active. You're also pulling your belly in. If you want more, you could bring your arms kind of down by your side. So I'm not really having you do a lot of stretching today right now. So you can always add that stuff in when you need. It's just like you go into the gym, some days you're going to focus on extra strength. Some days you're going to need extra stretch. Yesterday was more of like, I play basketball, so I call it cardio and movement day, like movement for an hour or two, sweating, cutting, deep soreness everywhere. And then the day before was mostly stretching. I did like an hour of stretching. The day before was like all weights. Okay. So, every day, 3 days in a row for me has been very different. What are your patterns in your exercise? Where are you lacking? Do you ever do cardio? Do you ever move your body a lot for extended period? You should probably do that if you don't. So you're doing your lower back, right? And you're working until you get fatigued. Then I want you to take it a rest, and I want you to do one more round. Come on, isolate lower back, which means keep feet down and keep pubic bone pressing down. It's posterior tilt. Because if you go anterior tilt, psoas stuck short here, okay, which is your front. And don't jam the neck, right? I don't know if we're going to get to more bridges. I was hoping to, but we can do something here instead of bridges, guys. It's the straight leg extension. So think about like a bridge, but you're going to get more movement and it's not weight bearing. The length of the legs is what's going to really
get the butt going, okay? So I'll show you what's next. Let's get right to it because I'm running out of time with you guys. Arms forward, fingertips here. You can do hands, but I like fingertips. Both legs straight and look, belly in, legs lift, legs lower about halfway. They always stay hovering. Legs lift via the glutes, legs lower halfway, 3/4. Legs up, legs hover. Legs up, legs hover. Think of it like a bridge. Feel your butt.
So it's not really like your chest moving anymore. You just did that. It's kind of the second part. You know, we do locust a lot. It's kind of like those two broken down in two parts, or that exercise in two parts. Hopefully you can feel how you can activate your legs a little better when you keep your hands down. And when you keep your feet down, you can activate your lower back better. So that's the point. I do locust more often than this because we're trying to teach the legs to work with the lower back, work with the upper back. That's our more long-term goal. You know, it's not like I've tried to say this before. People, you know, wonder why I can do all the big positions on my Instagram. And, you know, all the yoga poses crazy, a handstand anytime, anywhere, and pistol squats. And, you know, it's not rocket science. It's just that I understand the biomechanical body better. And when I exercise, it's more efficient and strategic. Because you see a lot of the yogis and they're just doing like the same old common narrative. And it's just not that effective. It's not that well-rounded. There's so much more to do and to confuse your muscles with. If you do the same old stuff always, you will plateau big time. You will get stuck at a level, and plateaus are the worst. Growth is what keeps people happy. Okay. So you did your butt, right? Give me a thumbs up. You guys feel your butt? All right. Yeah. I see your hand there, Susan. Perfect. Thank you, Julia. All right. Child pose. Child pose. Let's get to it. Unless you still want to work your booty, you keep going with it. I got to stand you back up because we got to do the balance. Okay. We're running out of time. If you want to do stretches and stuff, you might have to do it on your own today. After you take 10 minutes after you get a couple stretches in. Quick child pose or quick plank if you feel like you want one more upper body thing. That was a lot of back body, right? The hip rotators are all back, and then that's all back. So plank would be a counter, tightening up your whole front body. I've said it, like I like planks. I might use them in my warm-ups. I tend to do push-ups more or moving planks. Planks are just kind of a little too easy. They're good for beginners and people who are not strengthening enough. But I tend to if you got an hour to exercise, spending 5 minutes in plank is just not, there's probably better ways to spend your time. All right. If you're getting strong. So let's stand up and let's do our dynamic balance today, guys. Now you can feel it around your hips when you're doing a core day, which I tend to do like 1 day a week maybe. I tend to mix in core every day, so core days come not as common, but it's good to loosen up. Knee lifts, twists, back bend, forward bend. So this one's a little tricky. We're focusing on rotation today. It's the same thing you did earlier, but straight legged now, weight bearing. Left knee lifts, my right toe stays forward. I turn to the right. I bend my right knee a little. And what I'm working on doing is turning my core and the left leg over to the right and holding. Okay, you gotta feel this, guys. You gotta press through your big toe and right foot and turn across the body. Look at my right foot. It's still forward. I'm turning. It's going to be crazy hip flexor on the left side, though, so I know that can be tough and in general. We haven't done much hip flexor today, though, okay? Back to neutral, right toes forward. Listen, turn the toe out. Bend the knee, the right knee, guys, if you need. And turn. Your hips, your core, your knee open to the left. Hold. I know, your hip flexor is going to be mad at me, okay? But turn your core also open to the left. You got to turn your navel away from the hip. And that standing foot doesn't, now take a little break, come back to center. And then we're going to do another round, but I want to give you a hip flexor a break. So right knee lifts. The first is the medial. Our target is really your standing hip. And so the hip, as you turn your navel to the left here, and the right knee goes across the body to the left, your core turn left, your left standing hip is an internal or medial rotation. And then you hold. Turn your core across the leg also. Feel your left hip, and then you got to feel it. You got to remember, it's all a learning experience, trying to contract the muscles, trying to feel what we're targeting. Standing hip, standing outer hip. Not the knee that's in your chest, right? Even though you're going to feel that a ton too. Now, second part is the external rotation. Your knee goes open to the right knee to the right, and then your navel turns away from your left hip. My puppy got into our fish food storage today, and there's fish. I was sweeping all morning. There's fish food everywhere. Beta fish flakes. And I just noticed there's an enormous pile right over here still. I feed her enough for a full-grown adult, and she's always acts hungry, this little person. Does everyone feel that? Does everyone? It's different. You know, we've done this moving before, but now I'm getting into the still. I don't think we've ever done it still in this class. So can we do one more round? This is it for balance. You know, we don't got much time. If you want to do a hinge, I do that like almost every class, which would be Warrior 3. If you want to do, you know, anything else, that's fine. But, you know, we're just kind of switching it up today here. So it's the same thing. You're standing up on the right leg, and your left knee goes across the body. You don't have to go that long. I'm just trying to give you a little extra time. It depends on your ability, right? You do this every day for 6 weeks, you're going to be excellent at it, and it's going to be a lot easier. You're just not used to it. You think of it like a plank. You just hold in the tension, the compression, and then you turn the right knee across the left. I don't remember what side you guys are on. It looks like your right foot's down, right? So the first part's here. You're holding, you're turning, feeling here. And then the second part is here. You're turning. You're gonna feel the butt right here light up. You're turning. See how my abdomen's all the way to the left, right? So that's the antagonist. You see that in physical therapy, right? They have you activate your butt and your hip flexor to release asymmetrical mutations in your sacrum. When people have like slid, stuck sacrums, then you do your final side, yogis. All right, final side here. That's another thing. It's like you go into like the Nautilus machines, right? And they have like leg press. That's a really good one, right? They also have assisted squat. Because a lot of people you see, I'm at gyms every day, you see like the people in there, just go through the Nautilus machines, right? So you do your quads, which is not a hip trainer. You do your hamstrings, which is not a hip trainer. And then they do the adductors, not really a hip trainer. That's more of a hip trainer. But then they do the abduction, maybe leg press. We have to train the hips to be stable. And a lot of those types of exercises aren't doing it. That's why I like squats and hinges. It's all hips through the legs and back. And when we think core, most people wouldn't think hips, but they are. It connects to your lower back. It connects to your abs. So big hip day today, but you want the strong hips. Now you might be sore tomorrow. You're going to need foam rolling. You're going to need light movements. You're going to need stretching tomorrow. All right. All right, looks like some of you are done. If I had time, I might do a hamstring strengthener. So you might just go like this, knee back, ribs in, pulse your heel to your hamstring, heel to your butt to get this firing. Because you just did the hamstring. So that would be a counter, right? So we have to do hip extension. So your knee goes back, your ribs pull in, knee back, ribs in, and
and then you pulse the heel to the butt. You want to point your toe though, so you get the calf. So it's the triple chain. It's right. Because we just tensed here so much, right? So now you bring the hip back, the hip bone back. And then you do your second side. So again, a lot of people are gonna do it like this. That's gonna do nothing. I mean, it is dynamic. It's good for like, I don't really teach that type of stuff too much, but it's like the fast movements, right? Like I said, move your body a lot for an hour, but pull your belly in, knee back. And then you pulse your heel to your butt. All right, so it's like 10 o'clock, I think, right? 9:58. So how about we take a stretch here, maybe a yogi squat, unless you want to touch your toes again. Do a little bit of both. How about I run through just a couple stretches for 30 seconds each. We'll go to straddle here just to open the legs. We didn't really do much like this today, guys, with the legs really wide. You did your lateral leg lifts, so your leg is in this form, kind of. So you did it a little bit in dynamic form. Just take 2 breaths. Next would be Virasana. So it's the opposite, right? Knees together, they were straight. Knees bent. They were straight, knees together, they were apart, and then you lean back, they were forward, right? So you stretch out your ankles here and your quads.
I mentioned that people who are not strong tend to avoid strengthening, and people who are strong tend to avoid stretching. You know, it's similar with like individual stretches. So people who are tight in a certain position will try to avoid it, but most likely that's where like your biggest release is, or potential, because you just do those same old stretches always. You're already like open there, the ones you're doing consistently, right? So it's good to just notice that like this tends to be one people avoid. You teach yoga class 30 people, there's always like a handful of people they sit on their butt and do something else. I'm like, okay, well, you're probably the one who needs it the most. All right, I usually say that like indirectly in some non-personal way. I try to. All right, so listen, next thing might be a twist here.
I want to do a stretchy twist. You could do like an outer hip opener quick. I mean, we did dynamic rotations, right? So do we need the stretch rotational? Probably not. No, we do this one in most classes. So I would teach the spinal twist here, something like this, or if you want to lay on your back, knee across the body. But if there's other stretches you want to do to unwind, beautiful, this is your body. Yoga teachers don't know all here, guys.
I know a lot of yoga teachers, and a lot of you can get your yoga training in like a week now, right? And then people put their trust in you. And I know a lot of yoga teachers that aren't studying. And I'll say, you're an exercise teacher. You're teaching exercise. No, I'm not. I'm a yoga teacher. Well, are you teaching yoga union with God? Oh, you're not? Okay, then you're an exercise teacher. And that means you got to study exercise, biomechanics, kinesiology, exercise science. And a lot of them are not. And that's why I'm trying to teach you to trust yourself and not the yoga teacher so much. Because I go in these yoga classes and I'm like, what is happening? Right? What's the strategy? They're just regurgitating what their teacher told them. So you got to be careful, guys. Even with me, I know stuff that's good for my body, and that's the blunt truth. I don't know exactly what your body needs. It would be very different if I trained you all personally, probably, based on your goals and your conditions. Okay. Let's do a closing meditation. That's the yoga, right? In a nutshell, union with the source. Closing meditation, 3 minutes together, please. Unless you're doing some other stuff, that's okay. But I want to give you 3 minutes. We'll end at 10:05. No rush if you're still stretching. Take your time, guys.